in order to understand and recognize and penetrate what is modern Western civilization, we must go to the Quran. So we will begin with Suratul Kahf, and then we'll go to Suratul Anbiya, and then go back to Suratul Kahf. And in the process, attempt to offer you a view of the Muslim youth in the modern Western world. But South Africa is very well acquainted with the modern Western world. Why? Because they came here and they conquered the land by brute force. And they ruled over you for, I think, how much? 300 years? 300 years. And they oppressed you. And they were a racist people. They believe that they are born superior. They have a birthright of superiority over the rest of mankind. And that is the heart of racism. And they ruled over you in this land, and they oppressed you, and they ripped you off, and they enslaved you. And thank Allah that you now have some measure of freedom, but not all. They're still ruling over you, but they're doing it by proxy, meaning they have institutions through which they continue to rule over you from a distance. Now then, what does the Quran say about modern Western civilization? And all of you here study the Quran, I'm sure. Don't you? You don't study the Quran? Really? Of course you study the Quran. Of course. Don't be afraid of me. What does the Quran say about modern Western civilization? In the Quran, there is a story that I want to narrate to you. It begins in the Hadith and continues in the Quran. That the Quraysh in Mecca who were worshipping the idols, they wanted to know whether this man, Muhammad, Allah's blessing be upon him, was indeed a prophet. So they sent a delegation to the rabbis, the Jewish rabbis, who were in the northern city of Yathrib. What's the new name of Yathrib? Medina. Yes, Medina. To ask the rabbis, how can we tell whether he is indeed a prophet of God like unto Moses? So the rabbi said, ask him these three questions, which only a prophet can answer. Not even the prime minister can answer it, only a prophet. And one of the questions was, ask him about a great traveler who traveled to the two ends of the land. Have you ever heard the story? You have? Okay. Ask him about the great traveler who traveled to the two ends of the land. And Allah answered the question in Suratul Kahf. And this is how he began to answer. Anytime you want to quote the Quran for the first time, you must always say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and then you can proceed. So بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنْ ذِي الْقَرْنَيْنِ. And they are questioning you about this great traveler. But Allah refers to the traveler as Zul Qarnayn. Ever heard about him? Have you ever heard about him? No? Really? Okay. Zul Qarnayn is someone who possesses two qarn. What is a qarn? Qarn has two meanings. It can mean a horn, or it can mean a generation, an epoch, an age. So now, which one is it? Is he someone who possesses two horns, or is he someone who impacts twice on history? That's the question. The answer is Allah has never ever used the word qarn in the Quran to mean horn. Never. So Zulkarnain cannot be someone with two horns. Rather, it has to be someone who impacts on history twice. And the Quran then proceeds to tell us about the first time. The second time, you're going to use your thinking process now for the second one. And mashallah, you're living here in the remote countryside. Beautiful. So you should be able to think. It's only people in the city who can't think anymore. That's a secret, eh? People in the city can't think. But in the countryside, mashallah, you can still think. You don't smile over here, do you? Huh? Are you? Okay, that's good. You still don't know how to smile. Okay. So Zulkarnain is someone who has power. Allah gave him power. But he also has faith in Allah. So when power rests on the foundations of faith, how is power used? That's the question. So Zulkarnain traveled in the direction of the setting of the sun, meaning in the west. And he reached a body of water. But this body of water was Ainun Hamia, dark and murky, meaning visibility is very shallow. If the water is clear and you drop a coin, you could see the coin several meters below if the water is clear. But if the water is dark and murky, you can't see anything more than maybe 1 to 3 feet. That's all. So this lake or this sea of water is dark and murky. Ainun Hamia. I don't have the time now to give you the evidence that this is the Black Sea. Now, when this lecture is over, you go back and check your atlases and find the Black Sea. That's your geography class. The Black Sea is called the Black Sea because you have very shallow visibility. The water has much algae in it. You can't see deep down. No, that's why it's called the Black Sea. But the Mediterranean Sea, which is next to the Black Sea, has clearer water, so you can see several meters down below. Now then, Allah then said to Zulkarnain when he reached the region of the Black Sea, how are you going to use your power? And he replied and said, people who are wicked, I will punish them. And people who have faith and are righteous in conduct, I will reward them and treat them nicely. So now we have the profile of how power is used when power rests on the foundations of faith. Then he traveled in the opposite direction, in the direction of the rising of the sun. And there he will have to come to another body of water. This side is the Black Sea. What is the other one? Anybody? Your geography, eh? The Caspian Sea. You have to do geography, eh? The Caspian Sea. This side, the Black Sea. That side, the Caspian Sea. And there he came across a people, لم نجعل لهم من دونها سترا, meaning a people perhaps who lived the primitive way of life, or a people who are very vulnerable. He left them as they were. Then he traveled on a third journey to a pass between the mountains. What's that? Okay. A pass between the mountains. And these mountains are called the Caucasus Mountains. So this side, the Black Sea. This side, I want you to pay attention to me. This side, the Black Sea. This side, the Caspian Sea. And in between, the Caucasus Mountains. And there he came across a people who said to him, Gog and Magog are committing fasad, wickedness, injustice, oppression. Can you help us? Can you build a barrier? He should have said, I have the power to do what I want. I will just go and beat them. But no, he realized that Gog and Magog are too powerful. So he built the barrier. And when he built the barrier, then Gog and Magog were contained behind the barrier and the world was safe. Gog and Magog are human beings. But they are human beings who are blessed, who are created by Allah with power. And only Allah can destroy them. You want to be a politician tomorrow, you better listen to this. Huh? Only Allah can destroy them. And they use power to oppress. They are a wicked people. They have the hearts of beasts. Even from the poor, they will seize wealth from the poor. That's what they are, Gog and Magog. So the world is safe. But then Zulkarnain said, one day Allah is going to bring down this barrier and they're going to be released. When that happens, the world is going to suffer. So when will it happen? And what is the connection with modern Western civilization? That is where we are now. We leave Surah Al-Kahf and we go to Surah Al-Anbiya. And in Surah Al-Anbiya, Allah speaks of a town. The Arabic word is Qarya. And he destroyed the town. And he expelled the people of the town. And he placed a ban they can never return to reclaim this town as their own until when? Until Gog and Magog are released from behind that barrier. And when they are released, they'll spread out all over the world, even in South Africa. And they'll take control of power in the world. I don't think Nelson Mandela knew this subject. I don't think so. I don't think so. If I had to teach the subject, I believe that Winnie Mandela would understand it better than Nelson. I believe that Winnie Mandela would understand the subject better than Nelson Mandela. Anyhow, when Gog and Magog are released, they will spread out all over the world and take control of power in the world. And now listen carefully. This is something that will happen only once in history. So if you miss it, you're really blind. When they spread out all over the world, then Gog and Magog will bring these people back to this town to reclaim it as their own. So which town is it? If you can answer that question, which town is it that Allah destroyed? And then he expelled the people of the town. Please put away your phone this time. Yeah, put it away. Which town is it that Allah destroyed? And he expelled the people of the town. And he placed a ban on them. They could never return to reclaim the town as their own until Gog and Magog are released and they spread out all over the world. And they will bring these people back to the town. Come on, somebody help me. Which town is it? Yeah?
I think it's
Lusaka?
God in Palestine. God.
Which town is it? Let us go to Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And our Prophet said that Allah will destroy Gog and Magog in Jerusalem. So we come to the conclusion that the town is Jerusalem. So therefore the Quran is saying that Allah destroyed Jerusalem. Allah expelled the Jews. Allah placed a ban on them. They could never return to reclaim Jerusalem as their own. Never. Until Gog and Magog bring them back. Have the Jews returned to Jerusalem? Yes, of course. Who brought them back? Who brought them back? I can't hear you. Don't be afraid to answer me. Who brought them back? Yes, who brought them back? I think you're scared of me. It is the modern Western civilization. That's right. Modern Western civilization, which used to be led by Britain. And then United States took over from Britain. And now The United States is riding into the sunset, and even Trump can't stop that. And another state is coming to replace the United States, namely Israel. So modern Western civilization brought the Jews back to Jerusalem. And so those who control power in the modern Western world are Gog and Magog. And they are a people who use power to corrupt and to oppress. Everything they touch, they corrupt. I'm going to give you an example now. Don't forget it. Of their corruption. Allah says in the Quran, in Surah Tawbah, إن عدة الشهور عند الله 12 شهرا يوم خلق السماوات والأرض إلى آخر الآية. The months with Allah are 12 in number. And this was ordained at that time when Allah created the heavens and the earth. So there are 12 months. Meaning, when you move from 1 to 12, you come back to 1. So therefore, 12 months make a year. A year. 12 months make a year. But these are 12 lunar months, 12 moons. Because a month with Allah begins with the crescent moon. And the next month will begin with the crescent moon, Hilal. So there are 12 moons in 1 year. But 12 lunar months make 1 lunar year, which is less than a solar year. About 11 days less. So what the Arabs did in the pagan time is that they would add 1 more month to make 13 months every 3 years. And so the month of Ramadan will always come in the summer. This was a corruption of time. And in the Quran, in Surah Tawbah, Allah said, this is kufr. Kufr, meaning the rejection of faith. Kufr. Allah never gave us the solar year to have 12 months. No. It's the lunar year which has 12 months, not the solar year. What did modern Western civilization do? They chopped 1 solar year into 12 parts. And they created, sinfully so, they created 12 mechanical months. That is kufr. That is the corruption of time, of sacred time. They did more than that. A month with Allah is 30 days. But if we see the moon at the end of the 29th day, then the month will have 29 days. You following me? Yes. Are you following me? Yes. So a month can have either 29 days or 30 days. Guess what the modern Western world did? They say a month can have 31 days. Did you hear that? Ready? But that is kufr. They said a month can have 28 days. Did you hear that? So that is kufr. So that's modern Western civilization. The month with Allah begins with the new moon, the crescent moon. Does January begin like that? Does February begin like that? No. No month today, no month begins with the moon or ends with the moon. That is a pagan civilization, the modern West. And they want us to believe that they are the superior people, born superior, to rule over us. That's rubbish. We have the truth, and they are pagan. What is a week with Allah? A week with Allah is 6 days plus 1. Why? Why? Because Allah created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. Check it out in the Quran, 6 days. And He wants us on the 7th day to commemorate the 6 days of creation. So He gave us what is known as the Sabbath day on the 7th day. The Sabbath day is the day when you don't work. You rest and you pray, but you're not allowed to work the Sabbath day. So the Sabbath day is the last day of the week. The last day of the week. Only the Jews today, nobody else, observe the Sabbath day on Saturday, the last day. Everywhere in the world, even in Durban, Sunday is the day of rest. Everybody stay home on Sunday, nobody working, except the supermarket. The highways are empty. So this is kufr against kufr against kufr. One more for me, one more, just one more. I arrived in South Africa on the 31st of December. I was tired, I went to sleep early. And in the middle of the night, I started hearing gunshots. And I said, oh my gosh, it's a revolution that has come to South Africa. Gunshots. And when I looked at the time, I saw it's midnight. They're celebrating New Year. Why are they celebrating New Year at midnight, this stupid time? Why? With Allah, the day ends at sunset. So when you see the moon of Ramadan at sunset, you know that the first Salatul Taraweeh is that night. You perform Salatul Taraweeh. No? Yes, of course. Ramadan has begun. The month of Ramadan has begun as soon as you see the sunset and you see the new moon. So with us, the day ends at sunset. Guess what modern Western civilization did? They said, no, the day ends at midnight, that stupid time. That is a godless, pagan civilization. How do you protect yourself from a people who corrupt everything they touch, including the political system? including international politics. Africa has produced, the African people have produced great